Hey, in Fresno, this fool, he's not as down as he thinks he is. Hey, you can only make jokes like that if you're from California, well, which I am. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's research-informed badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
Me llamo Miguel. Este video es de Fresno, California.
Today's video was brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
We've linked news stories in the description. You see this guy here, and I don't understand what kind of argument he had with this white car, but he's going to pull a gun and fire a shot at that car. That shot did hit the car, and then that car drove off. An officer on an unrelated call heard the gunshot, started chasing down towards this guy while he tries to carjack a more differenter car. So this guy's going to run off. I've sped it up for the sake of time. You're going to see an officer running after him where he's calling in his position pretty regularly. So now our dude is trying to run off and get away from the results of his chicanery. You can see there he's got the gun in his hand. Now watch what happens here when two Fresno County PD or Fresno City officers see him, and they are going to come in hot and give him a little boop on the ram prow. Not a full heavy hard one, but a pretty decent one that makes him drop the gun, and he goes, ow, and then they are going to arrest him. Now, we have badge cam from the driver as well, so let's listen in.
Where at? He's reaching. Get on the ground! Get on the fucking ground! Get on the ground! Use him. You got a gun? Don't you move.
I think I'm take contact with him now. Ready to fire?
Or X-ray 2-1.
Last unit, couldn't copy.
X-ray 2-1. I got it.
More X-ray 2, and we have an increased if we recover the firearm as well. Copy, 712-404, do you copy?
This is a picture of the firearm that they recovered from our foo, and I'm surprised, honestly. It looks like an actual high-quality firearm and not something handmade, though the light maybe is not super great. We also have a picture of him, and we have actually contacted the Fresno County District Attorney's Office to ask them to add an additional felony charge of a bad impersonation of the Beatles to the charges that he faces. Mike, that intro, we're definitely going to get letters, but
We're getting letters.
But you know what? Sometimes with fools like this, he earned it.
Yeah, plus this fool made it. He's fine. He had a sore leg, and they cruised here from the hospital. Yeah, all good.
It's all good. Mike, oftentimes I say that, a lot of these incidents should be handled by the private citizens. But in this particular case, as this guy gets shot at here, I really do think the better answer for this person, when the guy pulls a gun and he's kind of away from him and can get away from him, rather than engage in a gunfight with this guy, I really do think it was probably the best idea to peel out of there, use your car, call it into 911, and outsource your violence here.
Yeah, for sure. Don't attend optional gunfights, right? If there's another way to go, if as a private citizen, if you can avoid, shooting someone and save yourself all the potential legal ramifications. Again, you don't know what a DA's office is going to come up with at the end of the day. You hope they'll do the right thing. You hope they'll come down on the side of a private citizen defending themselves. But you ask anyone at Firearms Legal Protection, if you can avoid a gunfight and be safe, absolutely avoid the gunfight. I think that's probably sound advice, John.
And so, listen, also, I don't know how this argument started. This could just be random, right? This guy could just decide, I don't know, he's tweaking on meth or something and decides, I'm going to go shoot at these guys. Or there could have been some kind of, personal altercation between them. I do think it's a good reminder, if that's what's going on here, to not get involved in road rage, to not get involved in verbal confrontations, because you might run into a dude like this who's a weirdo,
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this. If you do decide to go back and watch the original video, be warned that the public information officer from the Fresno Police Department, his voice could put a chipmunk on meth to sleep. It is just almost unwatchable. I'll say this about that. Avoiding, road rage, avoiding confrontations in public is a good idea for this reason. Like, just not getting into the thing to begin with, if you can, not accusing our victim here of anything. But I mean, if you can avoid getting into the middle of something like this, because you don't know who you're going to be dealing with. I told my kids, before you stick your middle finger out the window at someone in traffic, just assume that person got laid off from work, came home early to find his wife in bed with his best friend. He just killed those two, and now he's just driving around with a gun in his lap, waiting for someone to upset him. In this case, it's just an idiot with a terrible haircut, a felony terrible haircut, and a gun. It could just be as simple as that. He decided, well, this guy upset me. He hurt my pride. He didn't respect me enough, so I'm going to shoot at him. Yeah, avoiding this sort of thing when possible is a great idea.
I also think on the next one here, so okay, he gets away from that guy. The guy in the white, looks like a 4Runner or something like that, SUV of some kind. He gets away. Now this dude's going to try to carjack somebody else. And yeah, if that person was armed, could they have used deadly force to stop an armed carjacking? Of course they could. In all 50 states, you can stop an armed carjacking with deadly force. Because again, even in the states with a duty to retreat, there are only 14 of those. You only have the duty to retreat if you can do so in complete safety. And the guy carjacking you with a gun says you can't do that in complete safety. But I do think the bigger lesson here, and it was done well by this person, is they had their doors locked. And whether that's just because the car did it by itself or you think about it, if your car doesn't auto lock the doors when you started, I just get in the habit of hitting the door lock every time you get in the cars, because something like this comes. And again, a locked door is an incredible system to keep you safe from this kind of incident.
Yeah, I've had folks on the podcast. A guy from Australia comes to mind, who was actually out on a date, like a second or third date with a girlfriend, and he was driving her car and wasn't familiar with, hey, when do the doors lock? Is it when I start the car? Is it when I put it in drive? Is it after I get up to a certain speed? He didn't know, and that was to his detriment. So I think really with your personal car or cars, knowing stuff like, hey, when do these doors lock? Do I need to do it myself? Is actually really important. Getting into the settings, cars these days are basically computers with an engine. Getting into those settings and figuring that stuff out is really, really a great idea. Good mental rep, John.
Yeah, and listen, your best friend here, your best defense, in the words of the famous Jeremy Clarkson, is speed, and just getting the heck out of there. Speed and power, speed and power. Anyways, really bad Jeremy Clarkson impression, but getting the heck out of the danger zone here, really, really good. Now, Officer Chase and again, I sped this up for the sake of time. Neither of them are that fast, right? And I love here what we see at the end. Now, again, what makes this guy not try to carjack a whole bunch more people? I don't know, man. Meth's a hell of a drug. Don't do it, right? But I also want to notice here when the officers come in, they're coming in pretty hot, and they should come in pretty hot, but they don't hit him real hard with the car. And honestly, I really think they could have hit him real hard. And Mike, I'm wondering, we didn't actually talk about this before we hit the record button, but I'm wondering if it had more to do with the pillar right next to him than the officer trying to be nice to him.
If you go back and read the news story, I want to, I could be mistaken, but I want to say that, or maybe it was during the critical incident briefing on YouTube from Fresno PD. I want to say they mentioned the officer slowed a little bit before he hit the guy. And, that's not a terrible idea. I feel like if you don't need to blow the guy into next month, don't. I would say you want to be sure to use literally enough force from the vehicle to make sure he's not going to get back up again and start shooting at you. The whole point of this, again, avoiding optional gunfights, right? We could get out of the car and get engaged in a gunfight with this guy, or we could use the car. John and I will tell you 9 times out of 10, hey, use the car, use your right foot and that 3,000, 4,000 pound missile that you have underneath you to handle the business. You're way more likely to hit the guy with a car than you are with a bullet from a pistol from 25 or 30 yards under stress. I think he did slow down, probably because he didn't want to completely destroy this guy. I think he used just enough force with the car to get done what he needed to do. We had a video not long ago from Thermopolis, Wyoming, where it was almost like a rodeo out front with the deputy or the officer kept trying to hit this guy and tried to disable him. It wasn't working. I think realizing when something isn't working is also a great idea, giving yourself permission to change tactics. In this case, I think our Fresno officer used just the right amount of force with that car to get done what it needed to get done. And lo and behold, it worked.
I really agree. And I think if you watch it, when you watch it through the first time, he was very calm and was in full control of his own emotions. So that just led to good decision making. And he boops this guy just enough right, to knock him over and the guy dropped the gun. This is a very good thing. And then they're able to get him into custody. And then, he whined because his leg hurt. Okay, fine. Your leg hurt. Well, you deserve every bit of leg hurting, right? No sympathy for this guy because of all that's going on. And again, I really think emotional control is super important here. And, we've had a couple of Fresno cops on the channel here relatively recently, Mike, and these dudes get down, man. They do a pretty darn good job. I also want to note here that when he gets out of the car and gets a gun on this guy, now we can see the gun on the ground, but I don't know if the officer can see that because the pillar's in the way and he is focused on the perp. And I don't know if his vantage point lets him see the fact that the gun is on the ground or not. So it's just one of those things of his, he's not wearing his body worn camera at chest height. His is up on his lapel, which gives us a better view. But we got to be cautious that what we see is not necessarily what he sees.
Yeah, for sure. And I really do want to commend the placement. It drives John and I nuts with some of these badge cams where, if the officer is using any kind of weapon or doing anything, their hands and arms are kind of in the way of the shot. And so it's hard to make out what's happening here. So I do like the lapel level. I know there's some issues with stability and optical image stabilization and stuff to where it gets too jumpy, whatever. But I do like this angle. And yeah, look, tunnel vision is a real thing. We battle against it. You try to train it out of you, but it is a real thing. So this officer's attention is almost certainly going to be on what he can see of this guy's hands, right? He's going to want to keep an eye on the hands. He just had a gun. And so that whether or not the pillar's there's a real chance he doesn't see that gun. He's going to be hyper focused on the hands because that's where the danger is going to come from. So yeah, in this case, and I think he realized here pretty quickly, I'm kind of at a weird spot here, an awkward spot. Let me get around the car. So fantastic work on his part.
I really like that as well. Again, thinking clearly, in charge of his emotions, and therefore sees, I'm not sneaking through that little spot. He thinks about it for a minute. Nope, I'm not getting around that. So he goes around the other side. Good job for him. Thinking through, hey man, I got to go find work right now and getting around here. Now, one small thing, he's pointing a gun right at this guy's head. And I think that there is very little chance that he is there's no chance right this second that he's justified to shoot the guy. So a caution, officers. Remember, if you ND into this guy, your qualified immunity is gone. You are very strongly facing criminal charges in that case because it would be a negligent shooting and therefore non-justified. So that's manslaughter and you could be facing decades in prison. And so be very cautious pointing a gun at somebody that you're not actively shooting.
Is it possible that the gun is off to, the side? It's possible, right? But it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it to me or John. Listen, this is not to be hypercritical. We want you to be safe. We want you to do your job effectively. We want you to win, and we don't want you to go to jail and lose everything you own because of an accident. If this guy jumped up and started to do whatever and was unarmed, and you accidentally, negligently discharge into someone and injure them or kill them, that's a bad day for everybody. It's a bad day for you. It's a bad day for the city who's going to lose $11 billion to this guy's family. So yeah, just be careful with this sort of thing. There's no reason to have it aimed directly at him. Just have it off to the side or down to the ground a little bit more, just enough to make sure nothing untoward happens at the end of the day.
Yeah, I really think these Fresno cops, handled themselves really, really well. Good job getting this guy into custody. I thought it was kind of funny that they booped him with the car. That was a very effective tool, and I think more cops should think about that. One final little bit here, just as an aside for folks, if you go over to the Active Self-Protection Extra channel and look, hey, or if you're watching this in the ASP Unlimited app, you go in the extra rail, you will see Fresno County is actually where I am applying for my California non-resident CCW. They've been awesome so far, the Fresno County Sheriff's Office at that. And so I'm documenting the entire the entire process that it's going through. It's not cheap. It's not, but they've made it relatively easy. So come along with me on that journey. Maybe join me if you sign up for it before the end of the year. It's a little easier than it'll be in 2026 because of some rules and some things that they're doing. So go check out that channel for that information, and link is in the description for that. These cops protected their community, covered their asp.